to call the General Services Committee together. I need an approval of the minutes for our April 16th, 2024 committee meetings. I need a second. Thank you. We don't have a presenter today, but I am asking if you have any comments or concerns about Tim's presentation from last month.
I think Tim did a good job with the presentation, and I think we should continue the outreach to the various towns and continue that dialogue and move forward and hear their concerns and what they believe is the benefit and questions that may be forthcoming. But we need to continue that dialogue amongst the various towns.
How do you think we should do that? We seem to be at a standstill.
I believe there's 3 townships that we have yet to meet with on the Tug Hill. Take that dialogue back with their concerns, comments, meet one more time as a group and put pen to paper and
Okay, sounds
move forward.
good. Thanks.
You should probably include the town, at least the town of Gregg and the town of Lionsdale, other than.
Tim, do you have any comment?
I was thinking maybe 3 towns at a time that are grouped geographically.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
Introductory Local Law Number 1, 2024, titled A Local Law Amending Local Law Number 2, 2021, to extend the authorization of 12 and 13-year-old licensed hunters to hunt deer with a firearm or crossbow during hunting season, with the supervision of a licensed adult pursuant to Environmental Conservation Law 11-0935, and setting the public hearing to be held on July 2nd, 2024 at 5 p.m.
Any discussion?
I have one question. Where it says all licensed 12 and 13-year-olds shall remain at ground level. How can, in Lewis County, that's kind of hard to enforce. If you know, with all the tree stands and everything else out there, I'm just curious about that line.
I think the reason it's in there, Benny, is because that's in the state rig.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Appropriating funds from general contingency to buildings and grounds account lines for expenses of maintenance and upkeep of the Glenfield School building. The amount of $35,000 is net of reimbursement that is expected from the Rochester Cornerstone Group, who has agreed to pay 50% of the cost up to $30,000 a year.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Any nays? Carried.
Appropriating $572,449 from fund balance that originally came from FEMA for bridge repair work that is not expended in 2023, but will be in 2024.
All in favor? Carried.
appropriating $301,000 from additional CHIPS revenue into highway account lines.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any nays? Carried. There are no motions. So that concludes.
I have one item, Andrea, I apologize.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I meant to get you beforehand. We did just have the bid opening for the Glenfield Complete Streets project. And it came in at 2.9 million, which is great because it's under budget from what we had put in the capital budget. We are still vetting the bids, making sure everything's in order. So you will see a late resolution at the June board meeting. But I wanted to give the committee a heads up on that. If you've got any questions about the bid or you want to review any of those documents, they're all in Cassandra's office. And Tim obviously is up to speed as well.
Thank you. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you.
I'm going to call the committee meeting for Human Services to order. I'm going to make a motion to approve the April 16th, 2024 committee minutes if there are no amendments. Can I have a second?
Second.
Vinnie? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we do have one presentation today. I'm going to invite Sheriff Carpinelli forward to give us an update on jail medical. Thank you.
It's outside under a tree and a picnic table, right? All right, so that's it. I see it's on green, so it's on. All right, thanks, Connor. Thanks for bailing me out again. Oh, well, I should have known. Somebody here's got to have that button, I figure, you know? Just on the jail medication program. We were the last in the state to implement that. And one of the reasons why is because I saw the cost that was coming to the county. And to me, it's unbearable to the taxpayer. It's not right. I don't think from day one, from implementation from Albany, when they, my light turned off for mentioning Albany, am I, Connor, or am I okay? That from day one, when they implemented this program, that the amount of money was going to cost citizens across the state of New York was ridiculous. So I put it off as long as I could, as long as commissions would let me put it off. And then it got to the point where I received a phone call and said, we have to start the program. So that's when we started to implement ours. And we put in the best solution forward that was what we thought was the least cost to the taxpayers. And it's still not, to me, a good thing. But it's working with the cooperation of other people helping us out. And but I still think it's a completely bad idea. I don't know if are many of you understand the program? Do you legislators understand what we do in the jail there? You do. I mean, are you fully aware of that we give drugs to our inmates every single day, 24/7, 364 days out of the year? You're aware of that. Not only do we give it to the inmates that are addicts, we give it to people who aren't addicts, that become addicts. It's a scam. Pat, am I correct in saying so? What does the public think of that? I hope they're watching. This is why we should have fought harder in Albany. Those of us that did gave it our best shot. So anyhow, I stood by as long as I could, held it off, and this is where we are today. So we're seeking a little more solutions to a better cost-effective way to do this program. And one of them is being looked at that we'd like to possibly add a second jail nurse. Instead of farming out the cost to a company, to a bigger medical complex industry, as they say. So, and that's what's going on. Other than that, we're doing good so far with it. But it's a burden upon the one nurse that we have, a big burden. The hospital stepped up with some of their people to help us out, which has been fantastic. Appreciate that. But you can't always rely upon them all the time either. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. So it's working out okay so far. But like I say, we are taxing our current jail nurse very hard, and she is expecting soon. So she'll be leaving us for a little while. Anything else? Any questions?
So what is the cost per year now?
Okay, roughly, I'm going to say it's a little over, was it $340,000 a year? Okay. Now, if you look at Jefferson County, what they did, they farmed theirs out. And unfortunately, the sheriff up there really took a cannon right to his backside. So, and that was too bad. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, the signed budget that we have here is for total cost of $404,000 a year. So there you have it.
Do you have any idea what it would cost to add a second jail nurse?
I don't have all the numbers here with me today. I don't think I have all the numbers here with me today. Let me take a look. I'll let you know. Very sorry about that. We got some other information, but not on that one. No, I don't. I don't have that today. But I can get it to you. All right?
Okay.
What bothers me at times, guys, is this. I'll say it to you, is the silence from all of you sitting there, because it's hard for me to be silent all these years as the sheriff with different things that come down out of Albany. Now, I got to go still there a little bit today because I would wish that if you had anything to ask me today or you had some opinions, I would like the people on YouTube right now and the public to hear your opinions to know that you're with the public in regards to how you feel about the cost of, of this program is to the people. And that maybe it'll reach, again, Assemblyman Blankenship, it'll reach, Mr. Griffo, it'll reach, possibly, our Congress Lady Stefanik to help us out. They need to hear your voices too. And that would be a good thing for us. It'd be a good thing for the sheriff's office and help us out too as well. Instead of having me up, come up all the time or pop up on YouTube and, kick Albany in the behind. And I'll stop there, Larry, if I can turn my mic off.
Yeah, I definitely think we could reach out to our elected officials to make sure that, I assume they're already aware of this, but yeah, to tell them that, of course, we don't encourage this and we would like to see other options. Maybe our lobbyists could look into that as well. But no, definitely, we definitely appreciate that. And like you said, the way you're handling it is still much more cost effective than our surrounding counties.
Well, I tell you, I can't give the credit for it. I have to also say that Pat helped us out quite a bit. And, and I'll give kudos to the county manager for getting the people for us in the hospital too as well. So, but it's like I said, we're going like this. I want to keep going like this. I don't want to go, boop, boop, so we're trying.
Anyone have any
How's it
questions?
been with the hospital, getting the staff when you need them? Because that was something that we talked
Yeah.
about, at first, and
Usually I would say it's pretty good. Would you agree? Usually it's pretty good. Yeah, a lot of pre-plan, as you said, a lot of pre-plan that, shuffling people around and ahead of time. And of course, when it's last minute things, sometimes that's what we worry about. Somebody gets sick, that kind of thing like that. With to call somebody, it's quick, so yeah. Yes. No. So we wouldn't be. You're 100% correct. We would not be. That's why, like you say, at times we try to tell everybody that we really want to keep this, our nurse that we have now. She's fantastic. So.
Does anyone else have any questions?
If we get another jail nurse, can we back off these outside entities and keep it right in-house?
You can slow it down a little bit, but still, if something happens to the other jail nurse as well, you're gonna have to always have a backup for a backup, right? You know how that goes, But yes, sir, we'd be able to back that down. I feel we would, yes.
My understanding is that the backup at this point is a pool of nurses from the hospital, right? So it really technically is in-house as is.
so the issue is that this MAT program needs to be administered every day, weekends, holidays, Christmas Day, doesn't matter. And obviously we can't have one nurse that works every single day. So you're right, Larry, we've got a pool of nurses, 3 or 4 that have shown some interest from the hospital. And when we do have days where Andrea can't be there, we have those hospital nurses come over. So really, if we were talking about another full-time equivalent, it would be replacing the time that those nurses are putting in. This is something the sheriff and we talked about it at budget time.
Oh, yeah.
Our concern, we do own a hospital, so we know what staffing is like for nurses right now, is basically you'd be asking a full-time person to do just the weekends and nights, because you don't want to change Andrea's schedule to the 40 hours a week, right? The normal.
Right.
So that would be the challenge of recruiting somebody to do those off hours
Well, the good thing is,
consistently.
yeah, the good thing is, sorry to interrupt you. The good thing is that, speaking with, our jail nurse, we proposed, hey, every third weekend, but that if the new person coming on, we'd be able to have that weekend. And then we have to realize, like I said, she is expecting, so, we're not going to change her schedule, our current nurse to any kind of nighttime stuff or anything like that. So out of respect to her and her family. Down the road, could we give the other person there, after 6 months, could we give them, maybe a 30-day rotation on days, possibly something like that? We'll see. But right now it's been discussed that we would give that new person every third weekend off,
But I'm not sure that 2 full-time jail nurses would provide the coverage that 1 full-time jail nurse does in a pool of backup nurses. Because if you have 2 nurses, there's still going to be times when neither one of those nurses can provide the service. So it seems to me that if you have a pool of 3 or 4 filling in the gaps for the full-time person, that's better than one, 2 full-time trying to make a schedule work.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, Larry, you're saying that you feel that we should be able to do with just the one jail nurse and the pool of people? I'm just wondering, am I right?
I'm just thinking that, if you're talking 24/7
Mhm.
and you only have 2 people, right now, I don't know how many are in the pool, 3 or 4? Okay, so say there's 4 people in the pool. You have one full-time that provides the majority of the service now, say 80% when she goes on vacation, or if she takes a personal day, that if you only have one second person and the first one takes a personal day, and that second one isn't available, you're in a bind. Where
Mhm.
now you have a pool of 4 people to fill that personal day off.
So you're saying that you feel that seems to be enough, or it's working out. That's definitely why I'm here, because it's not working out that way. Like Pat and I said just a minute ago, it's going okay.
Well, I'm not
That's the thing,
not
so-
trying to generate controversy
Right,
here. I'm
right.
just trying to understand where you think 2 people is better than 5.
2 full-time people is better than 4 part-time people who currently have a full-time job at the hospital.
But the second person wouldn't be full-time either because,
Yes, they would be. If the second jail nurse is full-time.
I-
I'll
I'm
say
not
this,
trying to
Larry,
argue
not,
with you,
yeah,
but I just don't.
that's all right. No, I'm willing to explain. Our nurse also comes in after hours if need be. When Dr. Rosner can't come, we have the jail nurse, we have to bring in somebody else. It's happened to us. I'll get the numbers for you. You know how many times it's happened? It would be a big help to that one person, to that one nurse, if we had the second jail nurse there. And Larry, the other thing is too, is the retention of keeping that jail nurse. If we continue to overload this one person, which we have been, we absolutely have been, we're going to lose that person, and we'll never get somebody back of that caliber to that position. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not afraid to say that about our employee. And also, like you said, now, I said she's expecting, there's a Family Medical Leave Act. She's fully entitled to go and take that time. And that's going to be quite a gap for a little while. And I can tell you that the pool of 4 people that are working full-time at the hospital have other full-time jobs. And if they can't fulfill, to get away, that's a problem for us. Then we bring what they call a traveling nurse that costs almost double to triple what it costs to get that pool of other nurses. Larry, that's what I'm saying. But I thank you for asking these questions today, right now. I do, because this is what needs to be asked and then to be explained to everybody, that, so you understand it and know. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't. You're not up, you're not there doing that. So
So do you have nurse coverage 24/7?
yes.
So
Yes.
one employee is a 40-hour week
Mhm.
employee.
And if she comes in, if we have to call her in during the middle of the night, we have to call her in.
Okay, so there's 168 hours in a week if it's
Mhm.
24/7. So 2 people are not going to be able to cover that either, because now
Well,
you're only at
and you're right, and
80 hours.
that's the expense of running the jail. And hence is why you see
I
across
just don't
the,
understand. I'm trying to understand how you think 2 full-time nurses would fill the role
Mhm.
when the role is 168 hours a week.
It's only needed during the times that an incident occurs or that there's a problem with an inmate that we have. Otherwise, no, I wouldn't call that person in the middle of the night like that.
So it's not 168 hours. So they're on call.
Mhm. Yep.
My recommendation would be that you add the backup pool. The other thing I think people can really understand is that we have one employee at 40 hours a week. We have access to other per diem employees, but neither the travelers or the hospital is obligated to provide us a number of hours. So on Christmas Day, I believe last year, nobody wanted to work. And it falls on So it's, I think they've got a system that's kind of working together right now. But it's one of those things, like if this happens, then this has got to be accessed. And at the end of the day, other than Andrew, who's our employee, is you can't call the trailer to the hospital and demand somebody cover a shift, because that isn't part of the contract. Does that help, or did I make a mess?
In that case, we need to change the contract where it's mandatory that the need is filled.
Nope.
They knew how that only works X number of hours. And that's kind of.
Yeah. But I'm still thinking that no one wants to work on Christmas Day, and I'm skeptical whether you'd be better off with two people versus one person. They're probably both gonna want Christmas Day off.
Well, the difference there is that then, they're under my supervision as that goes, and then that person's ordered to come in. That's all there is to it. It's just like us. So as the deputies and the correction officers, if you got to work, you got to work when the sheriff calls you. I mean, that's that. But I don't have the authority to do that with a county employee from the hospital. That I can't do.
So it'd be two full-time nurses and then still use the backup pool.
Yes, just as Patty said, sir, Barry, with having a backup for a backup, actually, because not a lot of people want to, yeah. Yes, sir.
So you'd have two employees you could call.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good chance. Or one
Mhm.
for you. I can see that. And how do you see these costs growing over the years? Fast are they gonna go?
Listen, I'll tell you, and I'm sorry again, but politics wise, it all depends on who wins the next governor's race down in Albany and what the political mindset is. If we keep on going down this track that, we're going to be rehabbing everybody with inside the jail, we're going to go broke. You're going to go broke. State's going to go broke. And I'll tell you right now, just so you're all aware of this too, as you saw back in 2020, there was a book that was put out called The Reimagination and Reinvention of Policing. Yeah, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Yeah, well, it's not. And we did not agree with a lot of it either because it was a lot of bull. But this is exactly what's going on. And I tell you this, that there has been talk for the last 10 years since I've been sheriff of them wanting to close the sheriff's jails down and make 2 centralized jails in the state of New York. So they're doing everything they can to impose upon you guys as legislators and laws to do that to us. And I'm not blowing any smoke or anything when I say that. This is what Albany looks at. Their mindset is the criminals aren't criminals anymore. They're the ones that they feel sorry for. They don't feel sorry for you. They don't feel sorry for the taxpayer. They don't give a damn about the police or the corrections. That's how I'll stop before I watch that go red.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the update.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
So we'll move on. We have 3 draft resolutions. Amanda?
Authorizing agreements between Lewis County Public Health Agency and professionals providing related services for pre-K special education children with hourly compensation rates set by NICED and adopted by this board.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carried.
Authorizing a 3-year agreement with NeoGov for its Power DMS software program and services for the Sheriff's Department at a cost of $35,639 for the term of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carried.
Authorizing lease agreement between the County of Lewis and Children's Home of Jefferson County for the use of space at the Human Services Building 2 days per week to provide counseling and therapy professional services for the benefit of Lewis County residents at a monthly lease amount of $750.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carried. We don't have any motions today, and we don't need an executive session. So I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Sheriff? Okay. No, absolutely. So Sheriff is referring to the second resolution. Did anyone have anything, questions on any of it? I think we're all set.
Well, this updates your civil software, correct? Sure.
Basically to help us improve our ability to train based on the policies. I believe the policy part is already contained in HR's. They already have this for the power policy part. What we're talking about in ours is we're adding on a couple of modules, which are going to be beneficial to all three divisions of the sheriff's office, both corrections, road, and dispatch. And it's going to allow us to put out specific training. It's going to allow us to track our training. It's going to allow us to track our policy changes. Right now, we're doing it in Microsoft Word, which it is electronic, but it is very difficult to keep track of changes. We'll also have legacy documents so we can track the policy as it developed over the years. There's also an issue of scheduling. Right now, we're on a Excel spreadsheet, which is very difficult. Our shifts are all over the place. We're working overtime all the time. We're working a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and it's hard to track all that if you ask anybody who deals with the time stuff. So this is going to allow us to not only track and flag us when there's time vacancies that need to be filled, but it's also going to let us put out to our people in a reliable manner rather than making phone calls. Because I'll be honest with you, when, excuse my French, shit hits the fan up there, the sergeant doesn't have time to call 30 people and say, hey, can you come in? It needs to be something where we can flash out a text message and right now our text message system is not working. It's relying on cell phone carriers. This is going to allow us through the application that is part of this. It's going to allow us to put out our ability we need shift coverage for this. Is anybody available? They can respond right through the app. It's just going to streamline everything and make the jobs that we're doing right now that much faster, easier. There's also what's called Power FTO. I know some of the names have changed since we looked into this. Power FTO is for our new people that come in. It provides us not only with some templates and stuff that we can expand upon, but it also allows us to track all of our new people, how they're progressing through their initial training. Right now, again, it's all done on a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. And it's difficult to keep it all. It's all web-based. So it'll be in one spot and everybody will be able to access anything they need. Any questions?
Does HR have access to this software?
HR has Power Policy, which is just the policy and procedure part. We are going to be able to piggyback onto that to do what we need through that. What we're looking at is the addition of, let me see, give me just a second here. They changed the names on me. So one is Power Time, which is the scheduling. And the other is Power FTO, which is the field training, which is the initial basic training. And then the last one is the ability to put out training via email and so forth on our policies directly. 99% of what we do is all policy directed training. So there won't be any additional subscription for the policy part because we'll be able to use HR's subscription. The only addition is those couple of extra items, the Power Time, the Power FTO, and the Power Training, which allows us to more effectively use a tool that's already in place for us.
Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a first and a second on the motion to adjourn. All in favor? Okay, we are adjourned.
Start off, I make a motion to approve the minutes, unless there are any changes. Do I get a second? Vince, second. All in favor, aye? Carried. Okay, since it's nice weather the last 2 days, we need something to talk about. We're looking at the Village of Lowville Summer Recreation Program. There's been a little bit of discussion, a lot of information handed out. You recently just had 3 papers handed to you, which are the most recent numbers for that program. I'm not sure who wants to jump in first, but Ryan, you want to open up with some of the numbers?
Sure, I can set the table a little bit. So a few years ago, the village and town has a joint recreation commission, which is chaired, I believe, by Mr. Young. They have been running a summer recreation program for a long time. And recently, though, they kind of were looking at the numbers a few years ago and realized that, well, a significant portion of the participants were not necessarily from the town or village. So if you see the handout with the pie chart, you can see there's 128 of the participants last year were from the village or town, but that means there was several others that were not, and you can see it's broken down by town. So at that time, the village had came to Mr. Chartrand and asked if the county would be willing to get involved to help cover some of these additional costs. We did it kind of as a one-time thing. Last year, same thing. It was like a one-time thing, and now we're year 3, and maybe we need to start budgeting for this and planning on it. But anyhow, we're back kind of with the one-time request. So the other 2 handouts that you have are a list of some contributions from the Youth Bureau and from the Board of Legislators over the last 4 years to village and town recreation programs, which is not insignificant. And then the third handout is from Mr. Young, the budget for the 2024 summer recreation program that they're trying to put together right now. So the issue is that they need to kind of finalize their revenue figures so that they can hire staff and get moving on getting that together.
I know some of you, and maybe this is the first time you've seen any of these numbers. The question comes up that, I'm not against the program. I think summer recreation is very important. And something that was recently brought up is that I guess it was brought up a little bit to the other towns of kicking in for something towards their share, and there was no response at this time. I think something we should look at into the future is that we approach the towns closer to their budget time and say, hey, this year you've had 20 people or 11 or 8 or whatever, and it cost X amount of dollars. You should be willing to kick in to cover that share. But in the meantime, I think we should come up with some kind of a figure to help. And I guess that's where we are now, is what kind of a figure or how much, what way do we figure it? Something was brought up at one point of $100 per participant. And then there was some numbers floated around of like 30% of the total figure up to a certain amount, $20,000, 18, whatever number we decide on. I kind of pushed the issue. Vinny brought this up to begin with. I kind of pushed it to have it come before committee, knowing that the system basically works. If it goes through committee, it's pretty sure of going through the board. Give us a chance to discuss it and look at the numbers and go from there. Anybody have any thoughts or input at this time?
I would agree that the towns, if we could bring the towns, or someone could bring the towns some information, so they could, around budget time, budget in their fair share to help out. But as for our share, I think $100 per participant is pretty fair. That's just kind of where I'm at. I think it's important, our recreation, our youth programs in the summer.
I think a little history needs to be brought in. The village and town have done this for decades. Those of us who were around a long time ago remember that the summer rec program was a bus trip to Crystal Lake. Through Watson, we picked up children. The village and town ran it. I wouldn't be surprised if the judge didn't drive the bus once in a while. Yes. And then when pool got here and we wanted to do something more, the village and town set it up. And for the better part of 2 or 3 decades, they've been doing it on their own. We do have a commission. We never met. Jerry is one of the members. For years, we ran it. Eric Berkler was on the board. He took care of the summer. Randy Shell and I took care of the winter. In the last couple of years, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not making this request on behalf of the village. I'm appointed by the town. I'm here on behalf of the town. It's a misnomer to say it's the Town and Village Rec Commission or program. We have handled this for the center part of the county for decades. And you're right. The town and the village said the outside towns ought to do something. And we met for the first time a couple months ago to talk about it. And I'm going to be honest, some of the towns are somewhat reticent. They have money in their budgets for it. They could pay for it. What's brought things to a head this year are several things. I'm going to be frank. I felt I was misled by some of the municipalities because you ended up paying 67% of the program last year, and that was wrong. When Dick first brought this up, it was $300 for every participant outside of the village and town because that's about what it cost. It was $324, they figured. So that's where that came from. Ryan suggested it would be more fair. Why leave the village and town out? Let's do $100 a child. I think that makes much more sense. I feel the towns and the village need to step up. The village and the town are. And if you look at the budget, that's what they're doing. One of the other questions that came up is last year's budget was $64,000. I have a budget of $122,000. And everyone goes, why? We left 80 kids on a waiting list last year. And I am damned if I'm going to do that again. It's just too many kids. Now, one of the other problems this year is the fact that Lavo Academy is going through renovations. We don't have a pool. We also are going to lose the athletic fields. They're tearing the turf up as soon as the baseball and lacrosse team is done with sectionals. I've cobbled together with double play a schedule. We've increased the staff tremendously. It used to be 6 counselors, now it's 12. Part of that is because the village of Krogan, which I approached, agreed to allow us to use their swimming hole. And we're going to use their pavilion and things like that. So we've opened it up to Krogan. The Krogan children will be allowed to apply. So when we talk about the village or the town, that's a misnomer. This program is this year going to run from Krogan to Barnes Corners, from Casterland to Glenfield. It's going to cover, a third of the county at least. I've always pointed out Lavo Academy. Everyone talks about Lavo. Lavo Academy consists of all or part of 11 of the 17 towns. This program covers 7 or 8 towns. Now, I'm going to be honest. Some of the supervisors I've talked to have been somewhat reticent in doing something. And given their fund balances, I think they're a little out of line, but that's a topic for another day. But what I'm trying to do is to set up this regionally. I see it as a pilot program because I think you need to look at other parts of the county. South Louis has their program. Copenhagen, I think, runs theirs through their school because they get certain funding. South Louis has some funding. Beaver River runs a program, and we don't want to cannibalize their program. But as you know, we did get a substantial number of children in the program. And there's an obvious reason for that. The program runs from 9 to 3. It's free daycare. So people who come to Louisville to work, drop their children off and pick them up. The one thing we lack this year is a meal program. We tried to set it up last year and we're too late. This year we can't do it because of the renovations and the kitchen. But next year our goal is to have that. I see that Caitlin Lawler's here, your new director of the Youth Bureau. I really think that this needs to be a county project. If we have a Youth Bureau, instead of asking for grants, the Youth Bureau has its money. The town and village should pay in their proportionate share, and we run it. We contract with Double Play. Dan does a great job. He sets it up. You know, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to. You know, all we have to do is pay the bill. I also am trying to get away from the nitpicking that I'm getting from some municipal people. We should work together, not against each other. So, I mean, this is a big jump. I will tell you that right now I have 93,000 of the 124. And part of that is because yesterday the Youth Bureau gave us another $1,155.60. I've taken advantage of that. I'm not looking, and just so that we all understand, I am not looking for the county, other than contributing on occasion, to take over the winter rec program. I mean, the facility we have is unique here in Louisville with the pavilion and the hockey association. The county is, yesterday they granted $2,400 so I could buy more skates. But summer rec, I think, should be countywide. I am not looking that this be exclusive to the village or town of Louisville. I want to make sure we understand this is a regional thing. That's just the name. I mean, Louisville's the largest community. They've done it. I as much as I complain sometimes about the village and the town, I do think they have a legitimate gripe that the other towns haven't done anything. And some of the supervisors have already stepped up and told us that they will work with us. So I think by next year, we will have something in place. And if we can set it up so that we have a centralized administration and everyone pays into it, and then we have a contract with a provider such as Double Play, I think we can set it up. I got to admit, I like the idea of having swimming outside instead of in an indoor pool in the summer. I think that's a nice idea, and allow the kids to drive over. And if we get the lunch, we get the meal program in place, which provides both breakfast and lunch. We're helping not only the children, but think of the parents who have to buck up $200-300 a week for daycare during the summer when their kids aren't in school. I mean, we can help the community as a whole. I'm willing to, whatever you give me. And people need to understand, if I don't get all the money, I'm going to have to shrink the program. Dan and I will sit down and we'll figure that out. But as I say, right now, other than the grant from the power company, which is located in Krogan, and by adding Krogan to the project has made that application a lot nicer and I think more attractive to them. That and whatever you do is what I'm waiting to find out. And while I'm a little distracted until 8 o'clock tonight, after tonight, I will be working on the summer rec program to get it off, to make sure it's in place. We're running from the 8th of July to the 16th of August, 6 weeks, 30 days. I can answer any other questions, but I just wanted you to have a little history and to understand what we're doing, explain why it's exploded so much. But we do need to get going because we need to get the applications. And I will agree with you, Mr. Osborne, the county should be limited to a certain percent. I mean, you donate $100 per child, but the town and the village, their money is there. One of the things I did is that money that you see there from the town and the village will be spent this year. That's their budget. We're not going to use your money to reduce their obligation. That ended. All right.
All right, thank you very much, Mike.
Mike, just one question. From the numbers that we came up with, last year you got roughly 26,500 from the Youth Bureau.
Right. We had 2 state grants. We got those. That was We didn't get any money from the county's
Okay.
portion. Those were two state grants that I got that money from. We got about 27,000, but the county did put up
Another 16.
16, yeah. You put up that.
Okay.
So the county money was the 16. The Youth Bureau money last year was all state money. This year, the 1,155.60 is county money. And what happened was there was a grant for the winter program. From what I understand, I was the only one that applied for it. So they gave me what I applied for. There was $8,200 left over. That was state money. Again, I was the only one to apply for it, so I got it. So that's all state money funneled through the youth. And
Any
I
other
can tell you-
questions for Mike?
You got the transportation set up there?
The school is advertising for bus drivers. I think it's going to be, I think I'm paying $25 an hour. Our plan is to run bus over in the morning and then make a run back and forth in the afternoon, bring the kids back, and then take an afternoon group over. So there'll be 4 bus runs. It'll probably be 3 or 4 hours a day. And that, they haven't given me a price for the buses yet, but I figure I'm spending about $100 a day on busing.
Anything else for Mike?
I also want to point out that Katie Spalding was able to get, you'll see a $13,900 grant. That is state money, and that is for 6 field trips. Something we've been arguing, we try to do. We try to give the kids an experience. They'll be going to a couple state parks. They're going to go to Bolt Castle. I know where 4 of the 6 are, but that is a state grant. That young lady, she's a teacher at Lavo. She was able to get that grant, and we'll take about 100. So I think they're figuring about 120 people each week. We won't be able to take everyone in the program, but we'll split it up.
Okay.
All right. Just so you understand what that grant is. I should have explained that.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, now that we've had a pretty good background information on it, any committee members or other legislators have any thoughts on it? A kind of a straw poll to continue to do it, or do it, continue to do it this year? And if we do, what kind of an amount, or how do we want to do an amount, or any thoughts from anybody?
I think it's a great program. I mean, from the bigger picture, this is the future of workers in Lewis County, county officials, teachers, nurses. That's what we're looking at here with all these kids.
Good. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, we've talked about this, how we should want to fund it. I still would like to propose $100 per student up to 200 students for the funding of this.
All right.
I don't know if I need to make that a motion to have it put in there or amended, or I'm not sure.
I would myself, I agree with the program, but I don't think it should be a county program. I think it should be put to the towns where the children are coming from. I have no doubt that it's a good program, but it's not benefiting everybody in the county. I think I wouldn't go for myself any more than what was last year for the 16 too.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
I think I agree with Jeff. We can use $100 per child this year as a target. But if there's, if they are successful with getting money from the towns this year, whatever that influx becomes, it gets reduced this year from our $100 per child participant. And that going forward, the towns that have children participating in the program, they should be expected to contribute whatever the cost per child for the program is. Because I agree with Jeff, this really shouldn't be a county program because it's not benefiting the whole county on an equal basis. It's weighted towards a few of the towns, and I'm just worried that we could be criticized for not providing the same service for other towns. But for this year, I'm okay with, a target of $100 per child.
I would agree with the $100 per child up to the 20 participants, but so the town of Diana, obviously wouldn't necessarily be in this program, but they would be eligible too, right? If someone reached out for the $100 per head
Yes,
for the recreation and other towns as well.
yes.
So, and then maybe we revisit it next year when the towns have all the data to figure out what they're going to contribute.
I agree. I think the program should evolve. Caitlin is going to be a great resource. She's new, so we can ask her to do just about anything. But it needs to evolve. I agree. I don't see any problem with setting up regional. Like Mike had said, South Louis has a program this year. Get this off the ground, and then let's evolve from there. And if we have a centralized, what do I want to say, control or whatever, use that. But let's evolve it into something bigger for the whole county.
Do I get a general consensus that $100 per child is a number we want to work with? Do we want to look at a maximum number? Last year was 16.2. Where do we want to go from there? Any ideas?
I don't think we should go over 20.
Over 20?
Yeah.
I think we should cap it at the 16 too.
Okay, we got a couple numbers
That's my
out there.
opinion.
Any other thoughts?
I would agree with the 20. Wouldn't go over 20.
Okay, I guess we can put that into the resolution and see where we stand. It would basically be $100 per participant, maximum of $20,000. That would be for this year, and hopes that we pursue the other towns and see where we stand for next year and the future. Sound reasonable to go from there?
No, Tom, I'm not on this
Okay.
committee, but I would agree with Herb. $100 per student and capped at 20. I myself use the program. I learned to swim in the program. It was a benefit to myself, and I think it benefits many kids within the area that may not have that program to go to in their area. I will agree that the program, Mike, you mentioned gets done second week in August-ish, that the same pie chart gets shared with the various towns or other municipalities, villages, and to show the percentages that are coming from that area. And that discussion starts in August when they're starting their preliminary draft budgets, and that's shared and conveyed with their board so they can contribute in the upcoming year. So it's shared appropriately amongst all towns.
Okay. All right, so we'll, at this point, pencil in $100 per child, maximum of $20,000. Any further discussion on that subject?
Just as a double substitute parliamentarian today, because Joan is out and Cassandra's out, what I'm hearing is you guys are looking for the resolution that goes forward, because you've got a resolution in your packet today, okay? But the amounts are blank. So do you want to amend that resolution today, or do you kind of just have general consensus that you're going to move a more detailed resolution to June?
I guess my thoughts are I've written in $100 per child and $20,000 per maximum contribution. I don't know how much more amendment we need to it, or
I think that's fine, but just from a parliamentary procedure perspective, you really should amend when you get to that resolution, that docket, make sure you amend it is all.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Anything else on that subject? If not, we'll move on to draft resolutions.
Reappointing Randy Shell to the North Country Home Consortium, Board effective May 5th, 2024 to May 5th, 2027.
Any questions or comments on that resolution? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing reimbursement payment to Village of Lawville towards 2024 summer recreation program of an amount to be determined up to a maximum contribution of an amount to be determined.
I would like to make an amendment to that resolution, that it be $100 per participant, up to a maximum of $20,000. Any questions or comments?
So you need a second on the amendment.
Second.
I'll second the amendment.
And second it. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Jeff's opposed. Now do we need another vote on the, okay. Now we need any questions or comments on the resolution itself now? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Jeff again? Yep. Motion carried.
Authorizing agreement between Planning and Community Development Department and Clarkson University CEM Consulting Group for summer student interns for GIS mapping projects for an amount not to exceed $18,000 from May 17th, 2024 through about August 30th, 2024.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing contract between the County of Lewis and Lobello Associates to provide professional consulting services for the updated rezoning regulations and an IMA with the Town of Diana in the amount not to exceed $45,000, provided that the Town of Diana pays 50% of the fee charged.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Does DANG provide service like this also? You know?
I don't know. I think that they do have some planning office. I'm not sure if they'll do complete zoning, redoing master plans.
Right.
I don't know. But we've put this program together a few years ago and consciously put some money in the planning and community development department because we had several towns, Diana included, Watson just went through it, that their zoning was either non-existent or really, really old. And so by the county putting in 50%, it was like an incentive to kind of get the towns to hopefully update some of those. I don't know. I think the half the cost came from us, but I don't know if they had help on their half. There could have been, yeah. That was last year. I think we did Watson.
Anything else? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Awarding bid and authorizing contract between the County of Lewis and GM Crisali and Associates Incorporated for environmental remediation of the Stevens Block Downtown Stabilization Project under various grant funding sources for an amount not to exceed $427,950.
Questions or comments?
Is this the building beside Dollar General?
Beside and above. Yep.
Yep.
That block.
Who owns it?
Gentleman from New Jersey, I believe. And we're matching some funding for him here with some downtown Main Street funding from the state and part of the county's vacant property revitalization program as well.
So he's putting some money into this?
Yes. Yep.
Anything else? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Designating Lauren Table as the Lewis County Coordinator for the Climate Smart Communities Program and the CSC Task Force with an updated appointment/reappointment of task force members.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing modification/extension agreement with Snorak LLC to provide community van pool services retroactive to January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2026, with adjustments to the rate schedule as set forth in Snorak's updated proposal.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Standard workday and reporting resolution for District Attorney Jeffrey Tompkins, Legislator Barry Lindecker, Legislator Jessica Mosier, Legislator Herb Frost, and Legislator Thomas Calamus.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried. Don't have any motions, no executive session. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn unless there's something else. Nothing else? Got Jeff and Herb. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Good job.